All right, buckle up, everybody, because we are diving deep today
Diving deep.
into a topic that's got everybody talking these days.
Oh, what's that?
Carbon-neutral data centers.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I know you're prepping for a big meeting on sustainable tech investments.
Right.
And let's be honest, you want to walk in there and sound like a genius?
Well, yeah, who doesn't?
And we're going to give you the info to do just that today.
Sounds good.
So we're looking at this really cool Korean article
Oh, wow.
called 3 Solutions for Building Carbon-Neutral Data Centers.
Interesting.
And it breaks down the challenges and the opportunities in this field.
Yeah, it's a rapidly growing field for sure.
So before we get into those solutions, though,
Okay.
can you kind of set the scene for us?
Yeah.
I mean, we all use data centers every day, right?
Of course.
But I don't think people realize how much energy they actually use.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're these unseen energy hogs of the digital world.
You really are.
Yeah, and as we're storing more and more data, more processing is happening. The energy demand from data centers is just going to keep going up. And this article actually predicts that energy needs could more than double
More than double.
by 2030.
Which isn't that far away.
No, not at all.
And it's not just AI driving this, which I was kind of surprised about.
Right.
The article says that traditional IT infrastructure still plays a huge role.
It really does. Yeah.
So it's not just all the new stuff.
Yeah.
It's the old stuff, too.
Exactly.
And it's not just an energy problem either, right?
No, you're right.
It's a grid problem.
Yeah, big time.
How do we ensure a stable power supply to these data centers?
Right.
Especially as we're transitioning to more renewable energy sources.
Exactly. Yeah, it puts a ton of pressure on the existing infrastructure.
And the article makes this really interesting comparison.
Okay.
It says that building a backup power system
Okay.
for a mega data center
Oh, wow.
is basically like constructing a whole power plant within the facility.
Yeah, I can see that.
Can you imagine the permits?
Oh, yeah.
The cost?
Insane.
That's a huge undertaking.
It is.
But, you know, the article also suggests that
Yeah.
these backup systems could be designed to sell excess energy
Oh, wow.
back to the grid
That's interesting.
when demand is low.
So they're contributing
Yeah.
rather than just taking.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, I mean, it could turn this huge expense
Yeah.
into a potential profit stream.
Right. And it helps stabilize the grid.
And it contributes to grid stability.
A win-win.
I like it,
Yeah.
but let's be realistic for a sec.
Yeah.
The article does say that relying solely on wind and solar
Yeah.
is still really tough for data centers
Right.
because they're intermittent, right?
Yeah. The wind dies down, the sun goes down.
What happens then?
Exactly.
So it's not a perfect solution yet.
No.
Renewables.
The challenge.
Yeah, so we need a mix of solutions.
We do.
And the article actually dives into 3 key strategies
Oh,
to achieve this.
put it on me.
So the first one is what they call custom power packages.
Okay. Custom power packages.
So this is where data centers team up
Okay.
with energy retailers
Okay.
to create these kind of tailored energy solutions.
So like a bespoke suit, but for energy.
I like that, a bespoke energy suit.
Yeah.
And it combines different sources, right?
Right.
Based on the data center's specific needs
Makes sense.
and its location.
Yeah, because every location is going to be different.
Exactly, not one size fits all.
For sure.
Does the article have any examples?
Yeah, actually it does.
Right.
It talks about companies like Constellation, Jason, AES, and Gridmatic.
Gridmatic, interesting.
And they're already offering these solutions.
So they're already out there.
Yeah. They look at a data center's energy profile.
Right.
They take into account the local climate,
Okay.
energy availability,
Got it.
and of course, cost.
Of course, yeah.
To design a mix of renewable sources, traditional power sources.
But you're still going to see some of that.
Yeah, for now at least.
And even energy storage solutions.
You're right.
So it's like creating a personalized energy playlist for each data center.
I like that analogy.
All right, so what about strategy number 2?
Okay, hit me.
This is co-location with renewable sources.
Co-location, okay.
And this involves, building data centers right next to renewable energy sources.
Makes sense.
Like wind farms or solar farms.
Yeah, cutting out the middleman.
You're cutting out the transmission loss.
You got it.
But wouldn't you still need backup power for when the wind dies down or the sun goes down?
Yeah, that's a good point. You still need that backup.
Okay.
But being right next to the source means you're relying less on traditional power.
So your carbon footprint is smaller.
Exactly.
Right, so less reliance, smaller footprint. I like it.
It's a step in the right direction.
So last but not least, what's strategy number 3?
Okay, let's hear it.
This one is called collaboration with utility companies.
Okay, so working together.
Working together, exactly. So
Okay.
this is where data center operators work directly with
Okay.
those regulated power providers.
Right.
And they create special tariff structures.
Tariff structures, okay?
And sometimes even dedicated power facilities
Wow.
for the data centers.
Interesting.
I was curious about those special tariff structures, though.
Yeah.
What are those?
Well, think of it like a deal
Okay.
between the data centers and the utility companies.
Uh-huh.
So they get discounted rates on electricity,
Yeah.
but in exchange, they have to be flexible with their energy use,
Okay.
especially during peak demand.
So everybody wins.
Exactly. It helps the utility companies manage their load,
Right.
and it gives the data center a lower cost and more predictable energy source.
Makes sense. And I imagine that could even lead to those
Yeah,
dedicated power facilities
absolutely. Yeah.
designed specifically for data centers.
Right. They could incorporate renewables, energy storage, and better grid management tech.
So it's a much more efficient system.
For sure. Way more sustainable, too.
So this third strategy is all about that close relationship
Yeah.
between data centers and the power grid.
It's a partnership.
Yeah, and a much more sustainable energy ecosystem.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these three strategies.
Three great
A
strategies.
really comprehensive look
Yeah.
at how we're trying to power data centers sustainably.
It's really cool to see all this innovation happening.
It is.
And these aren't just theories. These are being implemented
Companies are actually doing this.
right now.
I'm liking this. I'm feeling a lot more informed already.
I told you.
Yeah, you did.
You're going to crush that meeting.
And there's even more to this whole data center as an energy provider idea.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's fascinating how data centers could actually contribute to the grid,
Absolutely.
not just take from it.
It's a paradigm shift.
It is. So let's dig into that next.
Let's do it.
So data centers, energy providers.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big shift, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
From how we normally think about them.
Definitely.
Imagine data centers actually contributing to the grid,
I know, right?
not just draining power from it.
And a whole different way of looking at it.
Yeah, smoothing out those fluctuations from renewables,
Right?
wind, solar.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like a buffle,
Yeah, think of it like a giant battery.
storing energy when there's a surplus,
Right.
releasing it when demand spikes.
Exactly.
And this isn't just a theory.
Bro.
The article mentions that some data centers already have these advanced backup power systems,
Right.
often fueled by natural gas,
Yeah.
that can quickly kick in and provide that electricity back to the grid
On demand.
when it's needed.
That's pretty cool.
But wouldn't using natural gas, even as a backup, kind of contradict that goal of carbon neutrality?
Well, that's where the idea of a bridging fuel comes in.
Bridging fuel.
Yeah. You know, natural gas, it's not perfect.
It's still a fossil fuel.
Yeah. But it's a lot cleaner than coal or diesel.
Way cleaner, especially when you're looking at CO2 emissions.
So I guess it's not ideal long term.
No.
But it can help bridge the gap
Right.
while we transition to a grid that's powered primarily by renewables.
Exactly. It's a stepping stone.
Speaking of stepping stones, the article also talked about geothermal energy
Oh, yeah.
Geothermal. and battery storage
Huge potential there.
as those potential game changers.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about how those might play a role?
Yeah, so geothermal.
Tapping into the Earth's heat.
Right. It's consistent. It's renewable.
Not everywhere has access to it, though, right?
No, it's very location specific.
Okay.
But where it's available, it's an incredible source of baseload power.
And what about battery storage?
Oh, battery storage is amazing.
I mean, it seems like that's becoming more and more crucial.
It is, especially with all these renewables coming online.
Yeah, you got to manage all that energy.
Exactly. Got to capture that excess solar and wind power and then release it when it's needed.
Like during those peak demand hours.
Right. Or to help balance supply and demand on the grid.
So all these emerging technologies,
Yeah.
combined with those three strategies we talked about earlier,
Right.
paint a pretty hopeful picture.
Do they really do?
Carbon neutral data centers. It feels possible.
It does, but, you know, it's not without its challenges.
Of course, there are always challenges.
Yeah, the article points out that these technologies,
Yeah.
they're still pretty early in their development.
Right.
Cost is a factor.
Yeah. Cost is always a factor.
Scalability.
Yeah, you gotta scale it.
And integrating them into the existing infrastructure.
That's a big one.
Yeah, lots of moving pieces.
It's a complex puzzle. But
But there's a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
So much innovation happening.
that's exciting.
It is.
And I think it's important to remember that this shift to carbon neutral data centers,
Yeah.
it's not happening in a vacuum.
No, not at all.
It's part of this bigger movement
It's all connected.
towards a sustainable energy future.
Everything from how we drive our cars
to how we make things.
Everything's got to change.
So how does the progress in data centers,
Right.
connect to those larger efforts?
Well, think about it. As we electrify more and more, the demand for electricity.
It's just going to keep going up.
Exactly. So we need clean, reliable power.
More than ever.
And data centers are leading the way.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, figuring out how to integrate renewables, how to use storage.
So it's like a model.
Yeah, a blueprint.
For other industries to follow.
Exactly.
I like that.
And it really highlights how important collaboration is.
Across different sectors.
Sharing knowledge, learning from each other.
So we can all move towards that sustainable future.
Faster. Together.
It's amazing how all these seemingly separate challenges.
I know, right?
They're actually so interconnected.
All one big system.
And there are so many opportunities for innovation.
And collaboration.
Yeah, so as you're getting ready for your meeting.
Right.
On sustainable tech investments.
Don't forget about data centers.
Carbon neutral data centers.
It's not just about being green.
It's about the economy.
It's about technology.
It's about a better future for everyone.
Absolutely.
And, we haven't even talked about the financial side of this.
Oh, yeah, the money.
Data centers selling that excess energy back to the grid.
That's a whole other conversation.
It changes the whole cost model.
It does. Let's talk about that next.
All right, let's talk about the money side.
Okay, yeah.
Data centers actually making money.
Yeah.
By selling excess energy back to the grid.
I know.
Game changer.
Totally changes things.
It's not even just about the extra revenue.
No.
It's about changing the whole relationship between data centers and the energy system.
Exactly.
They've always been seen as these massive energy consumers.
Right.
Almost like a burden on the grid.
Uh-huh.
But what if
they
could actually be a source of stability?
Imagine.
And even lower costs for everybody.
Yeah. It's like they become partners with the utility companies.
Not just customers.
Right. Exactly.
And the article talks about some really interesting ways that this could work.
Okay.
Imagine data centers using their backup power, charged with renewable energy, or even excess grid power during off-peak hours to sell electricity back to the grid when demand is high.
Smart.
So they're helping to smooth out
Oh,
those peaks and valleys in energy demand.
Exactly.
Especially as we rely more on solar and wind.
Which are intermittent.
Which we know are intermittent.
Yeah.
And it could lead to a more decentralized energy system.
Right. Not just relying on better plants.
For everybody's contributing. Data centers,
businesses,
homeowners with solar panels and batteries.
Everybody working together.
It's like this whole ecosystem of energy sharing.
I love that.
And everybody benefits.
Everybody wins.
And think about the financial incentives for data centers.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. They could earn revenue by selling that excess energy.
Right, offsetting their operating costs.
Making investments in renewables even more attractive.
It's a win-win-win.
Data center wins, the grid wins.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we all win.
We do.
Cleaner, more sustainable energy future.
Absolutely.
But there's always a but.
There's always a but.
This is still an evolving landscape, right?
It is, yeah.
Regulatory hurdles, market mechanisms to develop.
Technologies to improve.
But the potential
is huge.
It's huge. I mean, it seems like the future of data centers is going to be a lot more connected to the overall energy system.
They're going to be a big part of it.
Yeah. And this Korean article, I mean, it does a great job of laying out the trends, the potential pathway.
I want to get there.
Carbon neutrality for data centers.
It's a journey.
It's not going to be easy.
No.
But we need that innovation, those partnerships.
And a new way of thinking about what data centers can be.
I have to say, going into this,
Yeah.
I knew data centers were important.
Of course.
But I had no idea how important they are.
I know, right?
To our sustainable future.
They're crucial.
They really are the backbone of the digital economy.
They are.
And they have the potential to be key players in this whole energy transition.
I think so.
We've only scratched the surface here.
We have.
But I'm leaving with a much deeper understanding of the challenges, the opportunities.
And hopefully you're feeling ready for that meeting.
Oh, yeah.
All that data center knowledge.
I'm going to drop some knowledge bombs.
That's what I like to hear.
And maybe even inspire some new investments.
That's the goal.
In these innovative solutions.
That's how we make progress.
It's a collective journey, right?
It is. We're all in this together.
Every bit of knowledge, every action makes a difference.
It does.
So to our listener out there, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity.
Keep learning.
Keep exploring. Stay engaged.
And who knows?
Maybe you'll be the one
to come up with
driving the next big breakthrough.
That's what we need.
In sustainable tech.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
Stay curious.
Keep diving deep.